also looking at the dedication needed to compete at this level. Carol Hirschfield was at the show with special guest Lou Ferrigno, best known for building up huge wardrobe bills for splitting his clothes in the TV show The Incredible Hulk.
Let's face it, all of us would like to have a beautiful body, but just how far would you be prepared to go? Here at the Koetslager New Zealand Bodybuilding Championships, 82 competitors have gathered to exhibit their dedication to that goal. At competition level, bodybuilding is as demanding as any other sport. Getting one of those muscle-bound physiques doesn't come easy. It can mean spending up to 12 hours a week working out with weights and slogging through other aerobic activities. It also requires an extraordinarily disciplined approach to diet. No chocolate and no alcohol if you want one of those bodies. Today we get a chance to have a look at the results of all that denial and commitment. Class is what counts when it comes to bodybuilding, and that's made clear by the fact that there are 14 classes represented at these championships. We'll be looking closely at 5 of those categories, beginning with the men's masters division for male competitors 40 years and over. Next, novice women, a class for women who are yet to win a national title. Then the couples section, a category for those who like to pose with a partner. As well, we feature the open women's under 52 kilos, a light to medium weight female division. And finally, the open men's 80 to 90 kilos, the big boys of New Zealand bodybuilding. We also meet an award-winning Hulk who's here to hand out the top prize. This year's National Champs has attracted the biggest field of competitors ever. The show's organisers say this goes to show that bodybuilding is the fastest growing sport in the country. So what's the big attraction?
There's a lot more involved in it than what people really think. There's a lot of mental attitude, discipline, dietary, all that sort of aspects. It's a very difficult sport.
It's something you do individually. You can do it when you want.
When people said that girls couldn't do it because, you're a girl, then I always had to do it.
You put all the training and dieting and posing and everything together, and if people are screaming their heads off, you just feel on cloud nine,
If you weren't nervous, there's something wrong with you.
Bodybuilding is something that you don't have to do to compete in contests. It's something you could do for yourself.
Someone who's been responsible for lifting the sport's profile is bodybuilder and actor Lou Ferrigno, otherwise known as the Incredible Hulk. Lou, how has the sport changed over the years since you've been involved with it?
Well, the time I competed, the first prize for Mr. Olympia competition was $1,000. Today, it couldn't be $50,000 or more for first prize, which is like over $100,000 in prizes. Also became more of an international sport. Many bodybuilders get involved in doing TV commercials. So it's something that Hollywood's done into. Now, everybody in Hollywood's in bodybuilding. Sylvester Stallone, you have Patrick Swayze. So,
in terms of training, how's it changed?
as far as what?
As far as training's concerned over the years,
I think the training system is much more sophisticated today because we have better machines, we have better training methods, so it gives everybody a chance to reach their full potential.
The thing about reaching one's full potential is sometimes it can take quite a while. You've got to get just the right balance between diet and training. For those who've got to the Masters division, that's one of the enduring challenges associated with the sport. Finding the discipline to improve your performance doesn't come easy, no matter how experienced you are. Nearly all the contestants say the hardest thing about competing is sticking to the diet. And it's no wonder when you consider that all you're supposed to eat immediately beforehand is things like brown rice and pasta.
Winner of the Central North Islands, 1988. Come on, let's hear it for Gary Bradford. Where's that Hamilton crowd?
Such Spartan fare can play havoc with your system, as former bodybuilding champ Gary Bradford well knows.
The amount of stress is rather great, physically and mentally, particularly in the last few days, because you do a carbohydrate depletion and then a carbohydrate loading, and when you're on zero carbohydrates, you have problems. Like you need basically 50 grams of carbohydrates for your brain to run, and when you're on less than that at that level, you find it very difficult. People around who have never done a bodybuilding contest or never dieted find it very difficult to understand just how hard it is to do.
What does bodybuilding mean for you?
It means I can have a 20-year-old physique at 44 years of age. That's what it means.
Come on, let's go along the line. Hear it for Gary Bradford. Hamilton. That Auckland crowd for Les Clem. Next to Les, we've got Peter Hopdell.
5 basic principles that we judge on. The first one is muscle size, the basic fullness of the muscle, the size. The second criteria is proportion, balance, where you have one muscle is in proportion with another, like you don't have somebody with a huge chest and spindly legs, because out of proportion it doesn't look very good. Then we look at symmetry. That's the basic silhouette of the individual, where the V shape, the wide shoulders, narrow hips. Then we look for muscularity. That's where you have an absence of fat between muscle groups and beneath the skin, which when you pose, the muscle just pops out and you look like an anatomical relief. And then the posing, being able to dynamically show your physique, hide your weak points, and really come across right. Those are the things we judge for. There are some intangibles that help also that we're not really supposed to judge for, but it does help, like grooming, stage charisma, and things like that. So it's the whole package, and it all adds up into basically a physical ideal that we have, and those who come closest to it are going to be the winners.
In second place this evening, wearing the number 1, Gary Bradford. And taking first place this evening, number 8, Batman Papa.
I think that if all men in New Zealand looked like this, New Zealand would be a better place.
Well, it beats being overweight and having heart problems.
I think it's good. They've worked hard for it, so they obviously want to show what they've done.
I'm enjoying it. It's really great. They look good. They work hard at it. They've got nice buttocks.
What do you think of that kind of physique? Is it your ideal?
No. No, I think I'd be a bit worried that they'll turn to fat when they get older. I mean, they can't keep up forever.
Well, undeniably, staying firm is pretty vital in this game, but having the right moves certainly helps as well.
Quite a bit of ballet and aerobics, but I sort of felt like it wasn't really getting me anywhere. Like, sure, it did a lot for me, but I wanted to make my body feel more in proportion. And the other, like, it sort of builds up the top of you. Like in ballet, you just sort of end up with very muscular legs, and so I felt it was really out of proportion.
Good girl. As the name suggests, the novice women's section is for newcomers to the sport. To be fit is it, so the ads we see tell us. And in response to that theme, women like these ones have apparently been taking up bodybuilding in droves. But the odd stigma still tends to linger.
The girls that I work with, I'm sure they don't approve. I think they sort of admire me too, but they don't really approve. And there's a lot of men, and some of them are really for it. They prefer their women soft and cuddly. While a lot of other men have really, like my boyfriend, he's not a bodybuilder at all, but he really appreciates it.
In the morning.
some judges prefer more muscle, some judges prefer shape. So still in women's judging, we do have a bit of a difficulty in who we're going to pick. But usually the lady who has the best shape and the most muscle will win.
And now the big one, in the novice women's section this evening. First place, wearing number 43, Mary Lou.
With only 4 months of training to her credit, Mary Lou is living proof that some people are just born with the right stuff. Despite losing about 5 centimetres off her bust through dieting, Mary Lou firmly believes the sacrifices are all worth it.
I'm over the moon. Oh my God.
What are you going to do now?
Party. Oh, goodness gracious me. I'm just, oh, this is my brother. Oh. Good luck.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Still to come after this break, the men and women's open divisions, as well as a pair of prize-winning poses. Being a well-matched couple has a very specific meaning in terms of bodybuilding. Physically, you and your partner should be like 2 peas from the same pod, because symmetry is a key when you're out on stage.
Routine from Mary Lou.
Is more difficult than doing the pairs.
What do you like about the pairs?
Work with, you know, up on the stage, whereas when you're on your own on the stage, it's real nerve-wracking. Yeah.
How does your husband feel about you getting up there and being in a pairs event with someone else?
Husband.
How about your boyfriend or partner?
He's been great. He's just been so magnificent all the way.
It's good to
he's been there for me. That's all I can say. He's been wonderful.
The couples category tends to be a real winner with the audience, and it's hardly surprising.
And the winners of the couples division, keeping it in the family. In first place, number 62, Mary Lou and Eddie Rees.
Seeing all those toned twosomes performing in perfect harmony is enough to make anyone downright envious. But like the woman I spoke to earlier, I continue to have one nagging doubt. Surely these bodybuilders can't keep it up forever. What happens to a bodybuilder when they do give up the sport? What can happen to them?
Well, it didn't happen years ago. They either will give up weight training, get involved in a different business, or they would just train for themselves. But today, the way the sport is, most people remain in the sport, staying involved because the competition over Mr. Over 40, Mr. America, they honor Steve Reeves like Reg Spark and different famous bodybuilders, and there's always a goal for them to strive for. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like 30 years ago, it was like a shadow sport, but now it's an international sport. They can get involved judging competition, promoting competition, and helping youngsters.
Are there any dangers associated with the sport?
Children taking steroids because they think it's a shortcut of what's happening with the Olympics. So I think steroids need to be banned from the sport completely. Because right now, bodybuilding, I think, is the safest sport in the world physically.
Have you yourself had any experience with anabolic steroids?
Yes, I have taken steroids years ago under a doctor's care. I have experimented with steroids when I competed. I didn't like it. It was very detrimental, I felt, to your health. And it's just like anything else, you want to try and see how it is. And that's one of the reasons why I retired from competition, because I didn't want to get too heavily involved in drugs, because today the majority of bodybuilders do take steroids, and I think it needs to be stopped.
The use of steroids is strictly banned in amateur competitions like this one. Here, pure dedication is expected to be the only thing to pull you through.
That was my biggest challenge for me to do bodybuilding, was to get up on stage in front of people. I just hated in front of people. But when they're yelling at you, sometimes you hear them, sometimes you don't. And it just really spurs you on. If it's silence, you think, what am I doing wrong?
Obviously not much, judging by her win here in the under 52 kilos class. What's your next move?
A wee bit of a rest, like training 3 days a week instead of 6 or 7. Enjoy summer, get ready for next year.
Women have undoubtedly lifted the standard of presentation in bodybuilding thanks to their knowledge of dance and aerobics, and their male counterparts certainly haven't been slow to pick up on that.
From Nelson, number 21, Lindsay Stewart.
Displaying yourself dynamically takes confidence, imagination and personality.
Number 57, Stephen Turnbull.
Oh, and if you're a man, it can take a razor blade as well.
Right, Mark, if you could lead out from that end. Right.
Do you actually have to remove all your body hair to compete in competitions like this?
Yeah, you got to shave it off.
How do you feel about that?
Well, the first time you do it, it's hard to get the back of your legs, you know. But after a while, you get good at standing up in the bath, going like this.
How do women react when they find out that you're a bodybuilder?
No differently. Oh, maybe a few oohs and ahs, and maybe I don't like that and that sort of thing, but I think it's just if they're married, maybe just a bit of envy the way their husbands are looking.
Are there ever any problems getting clothes that fit?
Yeah, I don't like wearing tight clothes, you know. I always wear loose-fitting clothes. Like I don't wear jeans, and I don't wear tight shirts and things like that because you're just too constricting, you know.
Okay, it's only about 5 minutes till you go on stage. How do you feel?
Knackered.
Knackered or not, the time of reckoning has arrived for the open heavyweight men's class. Everyone gets to pump weights for 15 minutes before showtime, but it's the hours you put in at the gym that really stand out in relief once you're in the spotlight.
at the back of the stage. Thanks, Brendan. The audience out there is dying to hear who the winner of this division is.
In first place, number 56, Warren Finn.
Timing is a crucial factor when it comes to winning at bodybuilding. That's because to achieve a peak level on a particular date is obviously very difficult, and fleeting as well. The bodies you've just seen can probably be summed up in a few words: impressive, attractive, and just a bit intimidating. But whatever build you are, from couch potato to beanpole, the important thing is to be at ease with what you are. With this sport, it's a finely tuned balance between mental and physical well-being. Someone who certainly got that mix right on the day is Warren Finn of Christchurch, who also picked up the overall Mr. New Zealand title.
A round of applause and congratulations to number 56, Warren Finn.
Muscles in places where I don't even have places. The whys and wherefores of bodybuilding with Carol Hirschfeld and special guest Lou Ferrigno, one of his few television appearances where he's managed to keep his clothes on for the entire time. Coming up.